Hello, welcome back to the Watford Way. Today, as we look ahead to Norwich versus Watford away at Carrow Road. And before we get into my thoughts on the game, I'm delighted to have been joined by Connor Southwell, the chief reporter from the Pink 'Un, to give his thoughts on the upcoming fixture.
Hello to everybody at the Watford Way. My name is Connor Southwell, Chief Norwich City reporter at the Eastern Daily Press, Norwich Evening News and the Pink 'Un, covering all things yellow and green here in Norfolk. Firstly, we're really looking forward to welcoming Watford to Carrow Road. You guys have a very good record over Norwich City. I think it's 8 of the last 10 that the Watford have won. So not a particularly, nice football club, and Norwich always enjoy playing them, but not the best record against them. This weekend is going to be really interesting. I've been asked just to provide a little bit of an update on terms of where Norwich City are at, injury news, that kind of thing. So I'll start with where they're at. It's been a real summer of change at Carrow Road. Obviously, new head coach. That's probably the headline one, really. David Wagner dismissed after their playoff defeat to Leeds. In came Johannes Hoff Torup, Danish head coach from FC Nordsjælland, only 35 years old. So two young Championship head coaches facing off this weekend. And he's had to deal with a lot of change. He's had to deal with Jonathan Rowe withdrawing from the matchday squad 20 minutes before a team meeting on the opening day of the season. Abu Kamara handing in a transfer request. There was some disciplinary issues with Adam Eder in the build-up to his move to Celtic in the summer. Gabriel Sara went to Galatasaray. There's been lots and lots of moving parts. Norwich City have brought in 8. 9 have gone. They start the new season with a different sporting director, different majority shareholder to they did last season. So it's been hectic and it's been manic, and that's probably reflected what we've seen on the pitch at the start of the campaign, which has been a transition to a new style of play, more possession-based, probably more attractive on the eye. Lots of young players from abroad and different countries being bedded into that system, and thus there's been teething issues, and there's been issues throughout. Obviously, the opening day at Oxford was overthrown really by what happened with Jonathan Rowe. Then there were better, improved performances, 2 home games against Blackburn and against Sheffield United, where they probably could have won both, maybe should have won one definitely, and actually won neither, and got 2 points out of that. But performances indicated that things were moving in the right direction. Then they beat Coventry. That was a very good win in the circumstances. A lot of control in that game, probably without having the attacking edge. And then obviously we've come back from the international break, which came at a bad time for Norwich really, and they were beaten by Swansea last Saturday. So a bit of an indifferent start, if truth be told, but a transition to something new. And I think there's a recognition that under a new head coach with largely a new group of players takes a little bit of time, particularly younger ones. So probably patience is the buzzword at the moment, and supporters being willing to show that. But it's been a busy summer. They brought in a host of new players. Jose Cordoba, Callum Doyle's probably been the standout on loan from Manchester City. Amankwah Forson, Antti Sienat, Cade Gordon from Liverpool, Ben Krizene, a left back. There's been a host of new players all over the pitch that have come in, and again, no player over the age of 23. It was a real target to try and reduce that squad that they had last year in terms of age, and add a little bit more sort of assets in, particularly after some of the names that they've lost. Rowe, Sarah. This team has lost a huge amount of goals, and I think you can see that at the moment with players who have come from abroad, trying to get up to speed, trying to adjust not just to the Championship and a new culture and a new country, but a new style of play as well. And it hasn't quite clicked from an attacking perspective from where Norwich City are concerned, and they're struggling a little bit on the goal front. I think we're all waiting to see it kind of click and waiting for that moment, and it hasn't quite happened yet. So still work to be done in that particular area. In terms of fitness news, the big one heading into the weekend is the fitness of Anis Ben Slimani, who Norwich City signed on loan from Sheffield United. Was really influential in that win over Coventry, came on as part of a double substitution at half-time, made a real impact with his physicality and his presence in midfield. Then missed the Swansea game with a slight hamstring injury. They missed him. There is a possibility he'll be back for this weekend, but it doesn't sound likely as we record. No Ashley Barnes, he's out as well. He's been out since pre-season with a calf issue that required surgery. Then the other two are that we know of at this moment in time, and I'm recording this prior to Johannes Hoff Torup's press conference, is Christian Fassnacht, who's out, and Jakob Sørensen, who's out as well. So those are the only known fitness issues heading into the weekend. And a little bit more sort of context for you. It's been a week of change at Norwich City. Narcis Palash, one of their coaches and senior coaches, who's been at the club for a year now, has departed, along with goalkeeping coaches and an opposition analyst. They've all gone to Stoke this week. So that's created a little bit of turmoil in the build-up to this game, on top of everything else that Johannes Ofterup has had to deal with since his appointment as Norwich City head coach. So it'll be interesting to see what sort of response we get from Swansea. I think Norwich will produce a much better performance. They're 20 unbeaten at home in the Championship. They haven't been beaten at Carrow Road since November the 5th last year in a game that probably should have ended David Wagner's reign, but didn't. So I'm going to go for a tight Norwich City win. 2-1.
Once again, a big thank you to Connor for giving his thoughts on the game. And very interesting there, actually. I didn't realise Norwich have been so long unbeaten at home. Now, if I'm correct, Connor said there they're unbeaten in the last 20 home matches in the Championship since November the 5th, which is certainly a really good positive statistic in their favour. And I didn't realise they've done so well at home. But it's been an interesting time for Norwich fans. Generally, members of the ownership and the board have stepped down. They obviously had a new manager come in during the summer as well. He mentioned some coaching staff and analysts also moving over to Stoke City just this week as well. So Norwich City, like Watford, are certainly a club in transition at the moment, and generally I always enjoy playing against Norwich. There always seem to be good matches, entertaining matches. Of course, Asprilla scored his wonder goal away at Norwich City last season as well, so I always enjoy going to Carrow Road. They're always great matches. And yeah, both teams in very similar positions. Both teams have been out of the Premier League for quite some time. Both teams are rebuilding their squads and haven't been able to spend huge sums of money this summer. Both teams, as Connor mentioned as well, have lost some key players. Gabriel Sara, Adam Ida, have both left the club from a Norwich perspective as well. So it's going to be an interesting game for me personally to see how Watford set up. I thought generally the first half performance against Coventry City was certainly the worst performance I've seen from a Tom Cleverley side so far this season. And I felt personally the midfield really struggled in that first half against Coventry. So hopefully that's something that Tom Cleverley has worked on and will look to improve. And also just conceding very early on. I mentioned it in my match reaction, where I think in the last 3 or 4 games now, Watford have conceded within the first 3 or 4 minutes of these matches. And, whether that's a mentality issue continuing on from the past couple of seasons, I'm not too sure. But that's certainly an area Watford have to work on, just being in the right mindset at kickoff. And ready to, give it to the opposition from the get-go, really. But in terms of Watford and injury news around us, there's not too many updates to give you. Jeremy Ngakia, our right back, and Kevin Caben, our new centre-back signing, are both still out with their respective injuries. Now, don't get me started on Jeremy Ngakia. I have a lot of opinions on his contract extension and his injury record generally, which I won't touch on today, but that's certainly an issue for Watford. And yeah, again, he's picked up another injury. How long, can we keep going on like this with Ngakia for? I'm not so sure. Kevin Caben, we signed him as a centre-back with an injury, so we was all aware of that, and I think he's going to be due back around early to mid-October, so I'm looking forward to seeing Kevin Caben. In regards to other higher profile players at Watford at the moment, Kwadwo Bar is a 50-50 decision for this game after missing out against Coventry City with, I believe, a muscular injury in his leg. And Georgie Shafatatse, you went off on a stretcher against Coventry City. It's turned out that's not a serious injury. It was just a back spasm. Tom Cleverley said in his pre-match press conference that Georgie hasn't actually trained this week, and he'll decide tomorrow, as I'm recording this on Friday, whether he'll be involved in the game or not. But of course, if you're watching this video as a Norwich fan, Georgie Shafatatse is arguably Watford's best attacking player. He's so good. Also plays for the Georgian national team as well. So yeah, hopefully Georgie will be fit and available to feature in this game. But I don't want Cleverley to rush him back. If there is slight issues still there, I'd rather he was rested and recovered for Watford's upcoming fixtures. The other 2 players I want to quickly touch on before we dive into Watford's upcoming schedule And our score prediction is Imran Louza and Angelo Ogbono, who Tom Clubley has confirmed both players are available for selection. Imran Louza picked up an injury a few weeks back in the League Cup. He's now back and available. And more importantly, and most importantly for me, Angelo Ogbono, our new summer signing on a free transfer, of course, formerly of West Ham and Juventus, is now available for selection. You'd think if he features or starts, he'd slot into that left centre-back role that Wesley Hughes has taken up in the past couple of seasons. Do I think personally he'll start in this game? Probably not. I suspect he'll probably start the following weekend in the Championship instead. But positive news that both Louza and Ogbono are both available for selection. Now, before we end the video, I want to touch on Watford's next 2 or 3 games or so. And actually, the next 7 days are going to be quite a big 7 days for Watford in terms of fixtures. We've got Norwich on Saturday. On Tuesday, we go away to Manchester to face Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium in the League Cup, which of course is going to be a tough test. I don't need to tell you guys that. You're intelligent enough to know that Manchester City are a ridiculous team. And then I believe next Saturday, the following Saturday after this weekend, we've got Sunderland at Vicarage Road. So Norwich, Manchester City and Sunderland. That could quite easily be 3 defeats for Watford if we get it wrong. So 3 big fixtures. For 2 of them fixtures, I'll be here on the Watford Way doing a live match watch along in Norwich and Manchester City. So make sure to join me here for that. And in terms of my score prediction for the game, of course, Connor, being a Norwich City supporter, has gone with a positive score prediction. And I'm going to go with a positive score prediction for Watford as well. I think we'll go back to winning ways after our draw against Coventry. And I'm going to back Watford to a 2-1 win on the road, away from home. I'm going to go with Daniel Jefferson to start, hopefully, and get his first goal. And I will go with Rocco Vata to start and also get his first Championship goal as well. So some bold predictions from me there. Let me know your score predictions in the comments section down below. Don't forget to subscribe to The Watford Way, leave a like on the video, and make sure to check us out on all our other social media platforms as well, both on Twitter, also known as X now, Instagram, Facebook, and of course here on YouTube. And I'll catch you here on Saturday lunchtime for our Norwich versus Watford live match watch long. Enjoy the rest of your nights, and I'll see you on Saturday. Bye-bye.